So let's pretend I'm a client
Yeah.
and I come to you.
Yeah.
How do you work with me practically?
Okay. So first and foremost, I would do a discovery call. So I do a free discovery call at like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just to see if we're a good fit. The second thing then we do, the onboarding call is a deep dive into you. And I work with people on their mindset, on their business, and on their own personal finances, because they're two different things. Yeah. And just in general, making great decisions. So we'll look at everything across the board of their business and their personal finances. And then we come up with a plan. And then I would meet with my clients twice a month. And we come up with a plan, and then we review and adjust, and I hold them accountable. And the biggest thing is with a lot of there's two key things. It's making the complicated simple. Mm-hmm. So whenever I would advise you on something, it's not like I'm giving you what would be rocket science. It's simple steps. But when you're so busy and you're in your own head with your business and a million things that's all muddled together, it's creating clarity, creating a plan, and then creating simple steps that I'm going to then hold you accountable to. And those two things, in making it simple and having clarity, and then having accountability, they're the two major things that shift a person and shift their life.
So the coaching world is broad and deep. Mm-hmm. And you've been in it for how long?
Well, I've been through network marketing, my business, and I've had a lot of success in network marketing. I'm top 0.3% globally in my business. I would say that's where I found coaching myself. That's when I got my first coach. And I'd say I've been in it for 12 years, maybe 12 years. And in this brand now, where I'm doing more business coaching, I would say the last 4 months.
And what qualifies you to be a great coach?
You know, that's a great question, by the way. So I'm not somebody who's a fan of certificates, right? Same for fitness. You know, there's a lot of people that think they need to go and do a £3,000 course, and then they've got the certificate. And I remember, you know, like my first exposure to life coaching was with Tony Robbins. Now, part of the thing that qualifies me is I've invested over $1 million with Tony Robbins, right? But when I meet somebody, when I look at Tony Robbins, who's someone who's spent years going through all sorts of things that life has to throw at him, and he's come out the other end as a successful guy where I'd want to be, all right, I want to listen to what that guy's got to say, right? He's going to help navigate through experience. When you can see like a 21-year-old go and do a life coaching course for me and get a certificate, that doesn't qualify somebody. So I'm kind of like really ultra against that. It's like sort of like a pet hate. But yeah, for me, look, I just try and share with people what I've done. So I've built multiple multi-million-dollar a year businesses. I've exited businesses. I've built 7-figure crypto portfolio, 7-figure property portfolio, over 7 figures in cash, 8 figures in assets. So, and I've been through heart attacks, divorce. I mean, like I said, I've invested over $1 million with Tony. I've invested over 150K with other over $250,000 with other coaches. So I've sort of, you know, and I've been able to create my life here in Dubai financially free. So I just try and pay forward and teach the lessons that I've learned. Incredible.
And would you agree that the coaching industry is quite saturated?
The short answer is no. I think it's undervalued. I think, unfortunately, generally only the ultra successful really realize they need a coach. And I think many people who are struggling with success are in a scarcity mindset of they can't afford it. Right? So I think it's undervalued. I think that even if you look at sports, right, every major football team has a coach. I mean, these guys are world-class players, right? Do they really need to teach someone teach them how to play football? Or what's better, because that's a team sport, even boxing as an analogy I like to use, and swimming and all of it, right? They all have a coach. Why? Right? The reality is being successful or getting all the things that you want lies outside of your comfort zone. So how do you break through that? It's generally not more skill. It's generally more discipline. So you go, well, how do I do that? Because I'm pretty disciplined, right? But there's days that you pull up and you feel like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym, or I don't feel like making that sales call, or I don't feel like doing that thing. Mm-hmm. That's what separates the average to the ultra successful. They'll show up regardless, right? A coach helps you do that. A coach helps you sometimes when you're in the middle of everything. Look, you run multiple businesses, you do lots of things. I know, and I talk to you, that you've got loads going on, right? Like every entrepreneur has, There's a million things muddled up in their head. We're being a parent, being a partner, traveling, paying house bills and sorting out everything in the house and running a business. It all gets muddled up. But when you get a clear structured plan and you work to a clear structured plan, the success you can achieve in a short period of time dwarfs that of everyone else that's just living day-to-day life. So I think that, is it saturated? I think more people are launching a business in that. I think the online space is lending itself to that. I think there's a lot more digital nomads. I think there's a lot more younger people that are understanding that the way to be successful isn't necessarily to go to school for years and years and get student loan debt and then try and get a job. It is to start off and start your own business. And I think that if they've had a success in an area, coaching is one of those things. But I think as people are going into it, I still think it's nowhere near being saturated. It's undervalued and underused.
And so you invest a lot in your own coaching as well.
Yeah.
Being as successful as you are,
yeah,
creating what you've created,
yeah,
why do you still do that?
It's a great question. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think it's anything I'd ever want to stop doing. So I don't make decisions on how much is it going to cost me. I make decisions on what's good for me and what's bad for me. It's always good for me to have somebody who's way more successful than me, further ahead, that can see my life from a different vantage point, that's not going to be caught up in all the emotional stuff that I can be caught up with. It's going to give me clear direction, a fast track of where I want to go, because if they're 10 steps ahead of me, then they're going to show me how to overcome the next 2 steps really easy. So I always look at how can I make more money to keep those things that I think are valuable to me. It's never a lack of, I spent that already, so I shouldn't spend it anymore. It's an investment. It's like, when would you stop eating healthy? When would you stop going to the gym, right? So if it's good for you, then a lot of people make decisions from a place of, I can't afford to, right? For me, it's a necessity. I need to have somebody in front of me that keeps my standards high, helps me keep my standards high. Of course, I'm driven myself as well, right? But you're never going to be as driven. You're going to have, look, I invest in I have a personal trainer. I've been training for years. I don't need a personal trainer. I like a personal trainer. He's going to help me lift that extra weight that I don't think I can lift. There's days that I'm tired. I don't want to push. He's going to make me push, because if he says do 10, I'm going to have to do 10. I'm not going to stop at, if I'm on my own, I could stop at 3 or 4 and go, you worked hard yesterday. And we all have that conversation with ourselves, right? That self-talk and that devil on your shoulder. You've done enough. Do you really need to push? You're pushing so hard already. You deserve a break. And it cheats us out of being great. They say good is the enemy of great. Many of us have a good standard. But the people that we know, the names of like the Elon Musks or the Mike Tysons, or whatever name that we would all know in our head, the greats, they're standing out because they're great, because they didn't settle for good. And there's loads of John Smiths that we never know of that are pushing every day, trying, living a pretty good life, doing pretty good in business, doing pretty good in stuff, but not really quite breaking through. And that's the difference.